What's up, everybody? James Strickland here. Welcome to week 2 on my road to 2,100 pounds and my continuation on my road to 700 pounds on bench. This is day 1, starting off with my top set for the day, which is 570. This is for a triple. All reps are paused. Went into this week not knowing quite how I was going to feel. Considering last week was my first full week for full power, and was pretty banged up a little bit on Sunday night, and came in and did this the next day, and felt pretty good about it. So this was 3 reps with 570. The RPE that I put on this was right about at 8, and you just tell by my face there. So the drop sets that I have here is speed bench with 495. Same as last week, just adding an extra set. So this is going to be 7 sets of 3. Working really on the explosion off the chest, working the weight. It's not too terribly heavy for me, but this is going to put the volume into the training cycle. We've got a fairly short one, considering we have about 9 weeks now until the meet on June 2nd at the American Fit Expo, where I will be looking to put up a nice little total. I think I'm being pretty conservative considering the weights that I've already done in training, and being that it was 12 weeks out when I did those. I think it would be safe to say, without injury and of course all lifts going 9 for 9, that 2160 or better is definitely possible. But we will see. Don't ever count my chickens before they hatch, so to speak. Go each day. Training is exciting. Putting up the weight that I need to do each day, working through my accessory work, making sure that I get stronger, that joints, tendons, ligaments, everything is properly strengthened. Recovery is huge. Cannot stress that enough. I think a lot of you may just look at these videos and assume that I just kind of bang out the weights and it's no big deal. You know, in the weight room is the easy part. I take a lot of time to rest and recover. Going on here after my speed bench sets, I'm pretty taxed. This is a little bit of an increase from last week's 365. This is 405, 2 sets of 5 reps. It actually, my shoulders were bothering me a little bit, just because of the low bar and just because of the extra work. But these felt really good going all the way down to the chest versus, you know, what you would think maybe doing a half rep or spoto press would be easier on the shoulders. I actually get a really good stretch reflex at the bottom. Maintaining tightness is key, especially if you're sore. Moving on to paused floor flies with 65 pounds. I've got 3 sets of 10, and like I said last week, these are something that, even though I've done a bunch of bench reps before and the incline, everything is warm, or at least you think it is, I always start off with 20s on these and then work up to about 35 and maybe even 40s just for a few reps. I don't ever go straight into 65-pound floor flies. My pecs are not being stretched in the same way here as they were on bench. So I urge you, short of saying warm up for every single exercise that you do, it's not a bad idea. You'll know as you go through your training what works and what doesn't. I know that most of my exercises are just, there's just enough difference between them that your tendons, ligaments are not the same exact, or they're not functioning the exact same way in the same movement as the last exercise. So just because you feel warm, you've got a sweat, you may have been in the gym. I mean, I know at this point I've been in the gym for at least 2 hours. That does not mean that every single thing on your body is warm, and that's how you can get hurt. So if there's anything that I would say is a secret to staying injury free, that would be one tip that I would definitely stress. I don't, I basically take that for granted, but that's something that I do all the time. Moving on here to inverted rows. This is body weight. Waking up this particular day, I was about 287, 288. The extra work is I've lost a couple pounds just mostly in water from the extra workload that I've got. But this is 6 sets of 12 reps. We lowered the reps just a little bit. Last week the lactic acid was building up quite a bit doing the extra 3 reps and going 15, so we dropped it to 12 reps. These felt a lot better going through. This being obviously focusing on the back and the delts, lats here a little bit, and these feel really good after all of those bench reps to kind of stretch things out, get things loose. And my last set of day 1 is tricep rope, and the cue here was to go as heavy as possible for a set of 15. 3 sets of 15. So started with 120, and this pulley system is a little bit different than some gyms and others. They look identical, but each one doesn't mean that it's actually 120 pounds. It doesn't mean that it's more. It doesn't mean it's less. But you got to know where your body's at. I'm comparing how it felt to last week, and compared to last week, this is definitely a step up, and that's the key. I want to progress and get stronger. So I went from 120s to 130s, and 130s were the last 2 sets. Felt a very, very, very good burn in the triceps. As you can see, I'm actually shortening just a hair. Normally, I will pause at the bottom, but these were on fire. So I did the best that I could with this set, but definitely working the triceps. But after the 3rd set here, this will wrap up day 1. Day 2, this is actually, day 1 is on Monday. My day 2 is squats and lower accessories is on Wednesday. Went up to Woodland Strength and Conditioning in Spring, Texas, my preferred powerlifting gym. And we're going to start off today with a triple with 600. This is progressively getting lower and lower on my back as it gets more comfortable for low bar. Utilize some of the leverage there. And actually, after looking at these, I think I cut them just a little high for what I would like. I'd like to bottom these out a little bit more. So next week, you'll definitely see the squats are definitely going to be a lot lower. My standard for parallel or breaking parallel is a little bit higher than most. Of course, competing in USPA, I am used to having a strict depth to hit, and so not super happy. I love the way the weight moved on those. The only thing I would definitely want to change after reviewing that is depth. But moving on, this is very similar to yesterday's or the day before's day 1, and these are going to be speed squats, and this is 515 pounds on the bar, and we're going 3 sets of 3. And so the goal here is to hit the hole and bounce out with good form as fast as possible, moving that weight like it's an empty bar. And this is compulsory acceleration training. Compensatory acceleration training. And the focus here is to move the weight as fast as you possibly can, regardless of how much weight is on the bar. So my spotter had to take off for work, but this is fairly light enough weight that I'm not too worried about it. Finished up the speed squats here. So once again, I'm going to stress the rest and recovery, not only between sets, but on a day-to-day basis. Between my bench day and this day, I iced my shoulders twice for about 30 minutes each. I really wanted to get the coldness really deep into the muscle and really deep into the joint, flush out some of that lactic acid, and I wanted to obviously warm them back up, get some bands moving, stretch the shoulders, stretch out the delts. Elbows are a little tight from bench day, but legs are fresh. So definitely worked on rolling out on a PVC pipe, moving the IT band around, kind of getting some movement in there. Of course, I stretch out and warm up. I'm sorry, I stretch out the night before, and then I warm up, and then after I squat, I stretch a little bit here. These are Olympic paused squats, and actually I didn't pause them as long as I needed to on this particular day. I was more or less moving the weight, and this is 2 sets of 5 with 390. Very, very easy. Definitely working on ankle mobility, flexibility here. This is definitely hitting the quads really well. Not too much of a problem. I'll change the angle here just to see my form. But these are high bar, so I've got them up a little higher. This actually feels a little easier, definitely on the shoulders. But as far as the rest and recovery, I'm definitely getting 8 hours or more a night. I typically do wake up and take the kids to school, come back and take about a 1.5 to 2 hour, I guess if you can call it, nap, since I've already woken up, just to make sure I am getting that solid 8 hours a night, and making sure that I feel good. Does not mean that I'm not sore, does not mean that I'm not tight. Rest is just making sure that I'm getting the sleep so that my muscles, that growth hormone is released and I'm actually able to recover properly. Along with that is eating very well, drinking plenty of water and fluids, taking vitamins. I do take an animal supplement for a multivitamin. So these are GHRs, and this is body weight. This is 3 sets of 6. These really, really work the hamstrings, and this is something that I am strengthening up for mostly for deadlift, so that posterior chain is firing off and helping out with moving that weight. And this particular day goes a lot faster than my upper body days tend to go. Of course, deadlift day is a little bit longer, but my squat day is one of the shorter days. In fact, I think it is the shortest day of the week. As far as my workout is concerned, I was pretty much in and out of here just over 2 hours. And my bench day was almost 4 hours. And these are some overhand deadlift holds. It actually says to hold for 15 seconds, and I read it as holding for 60 seconds and resting for 60 seconds. This is 330 pounds, 2 sets, and as you can see, I'm well past the 15-second mark here. And actually, I actually talked to the camera here in a second. You'll hear exactly what I was thinking. And overall, I was pretty dissatisfied that I didn't reach the 60-second mark. But after I read the training and I just realized that I had read it wrong, I was pretty happy with this.
So I read the programming wrong. I read it as 330 double overhand grips, or basically holds for 60 seconds. And it was 60 seconds rest and 15-second holds. So instead of 15-second holds, since I know I can hold it for 50, I'm going to shoot for a minute. Just go with it.
And that's a wrap for day 2 squats. And moving on, this is the very next day on Thursday, day 3. This is my shoulder and upper accessory day. Starting off the day here with front raise, lateral raise, and bent over fly, and this is a big giant set. This is 20 pounds. This is a drop from last week, which called for 35 pounds, and this is 2 sets of 12, 12, and 12. So each movement is 12 reps done in a continuous fashion. This is a great set for firing up your shoulders. I definitely warm up to these this day because last week I felt a little bit of fatigue building up on Thursday. I actually did the 20 pounds, so we kept it at 20 pounds this week. This is actually fairly light, but the shoulders are still aching a little bit from the extra workload, the low bar squats, and still not fully recovered from bench day on Monday. So just goes to show that it does take time to recover, even definitely at an elite level, but even after years of training and knowing exactly what to do recovery wise, it's just keeping everything moving. I was definitely sore right here during this movement, but there's no clicking, there's no impingements, there's no pain. Soreness is different. It's a dull soreness, and it felt good to actually do this. After this day is done, my shoulders definitely felt a lot more loose, which is exactly what I needed. Definitely get the work in as well. But the warm-ups for this typically involve 10s and 15 pounders. If I work up to heavier than 20s, like 35s or even 40s, I definitely do a few of these movements for each of the weight progressions, just to make sure that the shoulder joint is warm. This is one exercise you definitely don't want to do or go straight into your top weight right away, because in this case that would be 36 reps, and that shoulder is going to be on fire after every single set, and sometimes that good pain is actually ends up being a bad pain, and it will hurt you pretty bad. So the last thing you want to do is cause an unnecessary injury on an accessory, especially not your main lift, and especially in training. So this day was actually not too bad overall. I was really kind of worried about this because last week this particular day in the training was pretty brutal, just for the extra work. Moving on, this is a standing one arm rear delt cable fly, and this is 20 pounds, so not too terribly heavy. In fact, I moved it up to 30 pounds just to get a little extra work here. And this is 3 sets of 15 on each arm. This really opened up not only the shoulder joint, the pec, but the delt, working that rear delt. So I'm still eating solid 3 meals a day. I do eat a little snack here and there as needed. I'm not too concerned about weight, either gaining or losing. I'm okay with right where I'm at. I'm not too concerned at all about the calorie counts or too much of anything else. I do tend to, I try to splurge on a dessert here and there, or a sleeve of Girl Scout cookies, or even a soda. I'm not a very strict diet. I'm definitely not a bodybuilder of any sort. I do have a power building physique, and that's mostly due to the fact that I was a swimmer for 15 years prior to powerlifting. So I've definitely got a solid foundation of cardio and cardiovascular exercises through swimming and through training that way. The body is naturally lean, and just kind of pouring a slab of muscle over that in the last several years of heavy weight training is a perfect recipe for exceeding in the sport of powerlifting. Also, another reason why I am able to stay injury free is not only my background in athletics and knowing how to deal with various tweaks and things like that through other sports, but also how to eat right, maintain weight and strength, not at a very high level, but obviously to the point that I am definitely in shape. So this is my close grip push-up sets. I've got 8 sets of 22 reps. I spread these out throughout the day, so you'll see me doing them in various locations and sped them up just for your viewing pleasure. I didn't think you'd want to watch 170 some odd push-ups, but these are all close grip, and they're not 100% full range of motion up and down. I'm definitely trying to keep constant tension on the pecs and on the triceps. These actually feel pretty good. You know, considering the first set was actually pretty rough. That was done during the first superset of dumbbells, and moving on through the day, these definitely got a heck of a lot easier. And the last set here is a narrow grip seated rows. This is 235 pounds and 3 sets of 15. These always feel pretty good. I've always been able to do the stack or more. The one issue that I do have on this particular machine is the range of motion is not, I can't get my elbows behind my back, considering where the cable and kind of what the setup that I have. So we're going to be switching these to more of a wider grip, neutral, kind of a vertical grip bar next week to get a little bit more range and open up the back a little bit more. But these feel pretty good. And so this is going to wrap up day 3, and moving on for the next day, which is Friday, day 4. And this is my deadlift and lower accessories. And this is starting off with 5 sets of 2 reps of paused squats with 405. And this is just a way to get some more squat volume in and also warm up everything for my top set of deadlifts, which is going to be right after the 5th set of paused squats. Might want to note that you'll see me go right into the deadlifts, but there is a warm-up process, obviously, with the 405, as well as going from, I started with 315 on the bar for deadlift, 405, 495, and then shot up to about 585 for a couple, and then shot up to the top set, which you'll see here in a second, which is 620 on deadlifts. And just to note, just with the fatigue building up, this is obviously the last training day of the week, 4 days of hard training. I was definitely very tired this day, so it took every ounce to really get into the groove here. And you'll see that obviously my face can show you that these didn't hurt, but these were not comfortable, I can tell you that much. I'm going to clean up the form here a little bit. Not super happy with the bar movement there, but I'll take it considering it's 15 pounds more than last week. These are speed deadlifts, and this was the working set for today. This is 6 sets of 3 of 495. And after the first set of 495, my grip pretty much gave out, and that's probably thanks to the deadlift overhand grips that you saw earlier in the video, where I was holding them for 60 seconds at a time. So the calluses are pretty tender still, so I'm working on making sure those are built up properly. As many of you know, I have not been doing heavy deadlifts or deadlift volume for quite some time due to bench only training. So I will chalk this up as a win. I wasn't too happy during this set, but after I finished it all up and realized that of all the work that I had actually put in this week, it made me feel pretty good that the week was not only over, but that I had done as well as I did, considering how I felt this time last week. Progress is progress, any way you look at it. So last week was only 1 set of 315 on these, which are the bent over rows. This week was 3 sets of 5 with 330. Definitely can do a lot more weight than this, but it is not about moving the max amount of weight on this set. It is an accessory. I've done well above 400 on those, but chalk up all of the fatigue that's built up this week, and that definitely sucks. So moving on here, these are Cobra lat pull downs. I've gone up to to 135, and this is 3 sets of 15 for each arm. And this is done with a full stretch at the top, really focusing on pulling that arm down and working each individual lat. These may look easy, but I can assure you each rep was very, very sore. Like I said, all of the accessories that I do have a purpose. It looks maybe deceiving. In fact, half the time they are in training. These have a purpose, and the pain, or not the pain, but the soreness that I am feeling throughout the accessory work is just going to show that what I'm doing is working. I'm sitting here recording this voiceover for these training videos on Saturday morning, and I can tell you my lats still ache from these particular Cobra lat pull downs, but in a very good way. They'll be healed up and not sore at all come Monday. They were definitely sore last Sunday, and I was a little bit concerned that I was going to be going into a heavy bench workout with sore lats, and that's not something that I really want. I actually would rather be 100% recovered due to the fact that I believe that prevents injuries more than anything. You know, I don't even like to feel sore on the next heavy day for that direct muscle. I don't mind it being sore for you know, lower if I'm sore upper, or you know, my legs are sore and I go into a bench day, but I don't want my pecs sore going into a bench day, and that's just my personal preference. But I'm pretty sure that has a lot to do with me not having constant injuries. So next thing we have here after these are done is going to be the landmines, which is the core exercise, kind of a variant for your obliques and your stabilizers, and that's going to be with 45 pounds, 3 sets of 6. And actually, I kind of sped it up and went ahead and did the last 2 sets in one, considering it was easy enough, and I had a little bit of a time constraint that I needed to get on and get to a somewhere I needed to be after this. And after these are done, I've actually tacked on a hip abduction set, which should have been done on day 2, but the gym that I was at did not have this particular machine. So I did it real quick, 2 sets of 20 reps with 190 pounds. That's working on the hips. And the hip flexors are definitely a little bit sore today, even though the set went very, very easy. These will work your hips very, very well. These help with squats, these help with deadlift. But this is just about a wrap for this week 2, and I definitely appreciate you guys. I think we're well over 3,500 subscribers. Started off the first of the year with just about 200 subscribers, so I definitely appreciate each and every one of you tuning in and subscribing, liking my videos. Be sure to go back and check out some of the previous videos. I've got some good training videos up. I'm going to be doing these every week for the next 9 weeks up until June 2nd, which is going to be my first full power meet in just over 2 years. Looking to put up over 2,100 pounds. But I appreciate you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe and follow me on Instagram @SwimHack. Peace.